Welcome back, everybody, to the Baltimore Orioles franchise here on MLB The Show 21. Today, we've got a very big episode that will feature this year's trade deadline. Our Orioles have been aggressive the past couple of years during the trade deadline, and with us barely having the best record in baseball at the moment, this year is not going to be any different. Our Orioles have played phenomenal baseball this season, coming off the All-Star break. We've done pretty well since then, currently sitting at a record of 65-36, which puts us 7 games over the Yankees for first place in the division, 7.5 games over the Toronto Blue Jays. And overall, we're in a really good spot right now. However, I do think that maybe we need that final piece or two to really push us over the edge as a possible World Series contender, and we need to look for teams who could be willing to sell off pieces. If we do make a splash at the deadline, I don't think it's going to be for a bet. Our lineup is in a really good spot right now, and I don't really think we need to make any changes. As for the pitching, I think that's where we could look to improve. The starting rotation is obviously a little bit banged up, and although Max Meyer will be coming back within the next month or so with his injury, I still think adding another starter who's a veteran might not be a bad idea, and then adding another bullpen arm could really be something that we might want to take a look at. Obviously, last year we went out and acquired Amir Garrett, who was great last season, but this year he's been a train wreck, and, well, we might want someone to replace him. Unfortunately, the trade block really only features hitters, and we don't need hitters. Although there are some really good players here, I don't really think there's anybody who fits what we need right now. So I'm not really going to target any of these guys. Rather, I'm going to try to figure out some players who are on bad teams, who might have expiring contracts and could be a valuable addition to the team. So as we start off with the bullpen, I want to go through the trade finder, or I guess the player finder here, and find some guys I would like. There are 2 relievers who really sparked my attention. Keone Kela of the Padres, who have been disappointing this season. Kela is having a great year with an ERA at 1.3, and he is a free agent at the end of the season, so we don't really have to worry about giving him a long-term deal. The other reliever I'm really interested in is Jonathan Hernandez of the Texas Rangers. Hernandez has been fairly disappointing throughout this series, but this year he's pitched really well, and he's also on an expiring contract and on a bad team. The Padres are 7 games under 500. The Rangers are 13 games under 500. So maybe the Padres might feel they still have a shot, but not really. So I tried for Jonathan Hernandez first. I don't really like the trade in the trade finder, so I'm going to make up my own trade, and I do think this is a fair deal for both sides. So we're going to be sending the Texas Rangers Andres Ramos, a starting pitcher who was one of our high draft picks a couple years ago, and he's developed actually fairly well. Zufus Polidoros was an international free agent we signed. He hasn't really progressed as I would have hoped, but at 22 years old, he is still really solid. And apparently the Rangers are going to bring him right up to the big leagues, so he will be called up and is now going to be a major leaguer. So after we get Jonathan Hernandez, I still want to look possibly for some starting pitching. I decided to put a few guys in the trade finder to see what would happen, and we actually got some really interesting offers. The one that sparked my attention was this one from the Royals, in which we could get starting pitcher Kris Bubic, who has been unbelievably good this season. He was the American League starter in the All-Star game, and sort of like Jonathan Hernandez, he hasn't really been good at all during this series, but this year he's been great. He's on an expiring contract, and the Royals are not a very good team. They're 13 games under 500, 4th place in the division. So I think them looking to sell off Kris Bubic could make a lot of sense, and he is a lefty, which I really like. We are giving up a couple solid prospects, most notably reliever Robbie Morris, who I do like, but he is kind of having a poor season down in AAA. And I think that's a big-time move for us, getting someone who's been an elite starting pitcher this year to add to our rotation. We do need to send 2 players down now to the minor leagues. Sending down Matthew Thompson is kind of a no-brainer with the addition of Bubic. We don't really need him in the bigs at the moment. And then Amir Garrett will return to AAA. He's played well in the minors this year, but with the addition of Jonathan Hernandez, I have to send down somebody, and it's going to be him. So Bubic will slide right into rotation, and we finally have a lefty who's able to replace Framber Valdez, who got hurt right at the beginning of the season. Evan Hernandez will replace Amir Garrett in the bullpen. But there's one more move I wanted to make. We needed to clear up a 40-man roster spot. There wasn't really anybody I wanted to send down, and I think trading Travis Lakins could make sense. Now, Lakins has been great for us in this series. He's one of the few OG Orioles left, but I do think moving on from him could be a good idea, just so he can get more of an opportunity elsewhere, like the Milwaukee Brewers, who are first place in the NL Central. Joe Gray is a really interesting outfield prospect, and we did trade away a couple center field prospects in Zufus Polidoros and Pablo Abreu. So I think replacing them with Gray in our farm system is a good idea. So we're going to hop into this game here against the New York Yankees. Our first game after the trade deadline and the Orioles debut for the big acquisition, Kris Bubic, who can hopefully propel this team to a World Series victory. And him and Hernandez might be the final pieces to the puzzle in winning this team a World Championship. Being at Yankee Stadium, it is a very hitters-friendly ballpark, but keep in mind it is also rainy today, so that could play into how this game goes. The Yankees will also be starting a lefty. It's Julio Urias, who's had a really strong season for them. Got paid big money a couple seasons ago, and he has, well, been worth that contract up to this point. Xavier Bowman with a single into right field early in this one, so Bowman is aboard. Now for Louis St. John, who is in his element, facing off against the lefty at the most hitters-friendly ballpark in the American League, and he looks to capitalize. St. John with a drive in a left field, and that baby's gone. Two-run shot for Louis St. John, his 36th home run of the season, which is second in the major leagues, only behind his teammate, Lenny Lang. A huge homer there by St. John. Now, I will point out, that's not a home run at any other ballpark outside of maybe Coors Field, but hey, there you go. A homer's a homer. Adley Rutschman now trying to keep in on the fun, but he takes a big swing and a miss. Rutschman has really slumped ever since the All-Star break. He's obviously still having a great season, but has not been himself these past couple of weeks, and hopefully he picks it up. So here's Kris Bubic, who has had a career year with the Kansas City Royals, and is going to be a big piece for the rest of this season in Baltimore's rotation as he strikes out Jerome Driscoll on the high fastball. Bubic is a very well-rounded pitcher. He only has 3 pitches, a fastball, a changeup, and a curveball, but he has some nasty break on his pitches as Juan Soto lines out to short. Jalen Miller makes the play, and a good 1-2-3 inning to start the Oriole career of Kris Bubic. So now Jalen Miller leads off the top of the second, and he's going to rip that one into left field for a base hit. So far, so good for the Orioles lineup. They're able to get some hits together. They had the home run by Louis St. John early on. The offense is looking pretty good right now. Elliot Ramos is now up at the dish, and he takes a big cut. That was a nasty pitch by Julio Urias. The sweeping curve low and inside, but Ramos got fooled by it. Let's go to the third inning now. 2-0 remains your score. Louis St. John back up. He had the home run earlier, and he takes a swing and a miss at a pitch that went above his head. He saw the pitch was curving down, but it also didn't curve down. So Julio Urias completely fooled him, but thankfully that was only strike 2. The very next pitch, St. John hits high, pretty deep into center field, but that one should be caught, and it will. And outside of a poor first inning, Julio Urias is starting to get into a groove, and he's had a few filthy pitches today, including one that forced the AL MVP favorite to swing in a pitch above his head. Bottom 3, James McCann is up, and he lines this one into right field, and this one is gone. The perfect game for Kris Bubic is no more, and it took the 9th hitter on the Yankee lineup to break the, I guess, baseless drought, and McCann will make it a 2-1 ball game. Victor Reyes is now up. He's had to play center field ever since the Yankees, for whatever reason, traded Jason Dominguez to their arch-rival Red Sox, as Reyes breaks his back, flies out to the pitcher. So far through 3 innings, outside of a home run, Bubic has looked like the real deal. Top 4, Urias gets Lenny Lang to go down on the fastball. And these lefties are in a pitcher's duel right now. Bubic has been great. Urias has been great. Adley Rutschman draws a walk, so he will not swing outside of the zone. And I will say Baltimore's discipline today, as you've been able to see, hasn't really been all that good. Jalen Miller is now up for the O's. Count is 1-2. And yeah, you can't really blame him there. Julio Urias just has such a nasty break on his pitches. So it remains 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Juan Soto hits this one into left field for a base hit. You figured Juan Soto would get on base soon because there's nobody in the majors who gets on more than he does. So that brings up DJ Stewart, the former Oriole, who grounds that one past the diving glove of Shed Lawn. Soto on his horse headed to third. The throw from long is not in time, and it seems like the Yankees are really starting to get some momentum here off of Bubic as they have a pair of runners on base for Ordonez, who strikes out. Little lefty-on-lefty crime there, and it's Chris Bubic who gets the last laugh, his second strikeout of the game, and then LeMahieu flies out to center, caught by Xavier Bowman. So Bubic, despite allowing a couple of base hits, gets out of the jam, and the score remains 2-1 through 4 in a big-time pitcher's duel. Into the fifth inning, your mean Mercedes getting the start at first base today for Nick Castellanos, who's getting the day off. He goes down looking on the outside fastball. That pitch, clear as day, looked like a ball, but I guess Angel Hernandez there behind the dish says otherwise. Mike Ford grounds it to third. Ryan Mountcastle with a great play to get the out. It looked like the shift might have backfired there, but Mountcastle does a great job of tracking the ball to make the play. James McCann is now up 1-2 pitch. He's going to fly this one into left field. St. John under it to make the catch. And through 5 innings, Chris Bubic has only allowed 3 hits, 1 run, and he's at 67 pitches. So I think he can probably go another inning, maybe even 2, depending on how the 6th inning goes. But it has been a marvelous debut nonetheless for Chris Bubic. The Yankees make a pitching change as well. Julio Urias had a great game, but he's going to be subbed out for Chichi Gonzalez, who's had a meh season. Not great, but not bad either, as he faces off against Louis St. John, who cranks the outside pitch in for a single. That is Baltimore's first base hit since the 2nd inning, when Jalen Miller led that inning off with a single. The Orioles have not gotten a base hit since then, and on this base hit, they don't capitalize, as Adley Rutschman grounds out to second. LeMahieu flips it over to Ordonez. 5 straight scoreless innings for a slumping Baltimore Oriole offense, who's had a rough game today, but they're lucky Chris Bubic has pitched as well as he has. With 2 away, Juan Soto flies out to center, caught by Bowman. Another 1-2-3 inning for Chris Bubic, and he's pitching so well, I don't think the Orioles are going to take him out for the 7th inning. I think they're going to try to keep him in for probably 1 more. Jalen Miller up here in the top of the 7th, lines that one off of Gonzalez's leg. He will make the out at first. Chichi Gonzalez a little bit banged up, but the former top prospect will stay in the game as he tells his coach he's all good. So going into the bottom of the 7th inning here, it looks like this game's going to go into a 45-minute rain delay. You figured this was kind of inevitable, and from there the Orioles choose to make a pitching change. Bubic would have pitched the 7th inning, but at this point you might as well just take him out. And Jonathan Hernandez, the other new acquisition from the Texas Rangers, will check in his place. His first batter is the former Oriole, DJ Stewart, who draws a walk, so the Yankees quickly get a runner aboard. This could have been a double play, but Mercedes bobbles it, and the Orioles only get the 1 out. So Ordonez is out at first, but DJ Stewart is safe at second, and now the Yankees have a runner in scoring position. Giancarlo Stanton singles this one into center field, and this game is tied up at 2. Clutch hitting from Giancarlo Stanton, and the Orioles no longer have the lead. This game knotted up at 2. Mike Ford is now up. Weekly hits this one to short, caught by Jalen Miller. So not a great first inning for Jonathan Hernandez. He allows just 1 less hit than Chris Bubic did, and he allows the same amount of runs. So into the 8th inning, this is Tyler Rogers, the brother of former Oriole Trevor Rogers, who checks into the game. He has a nasty sidearm as he gets Louis St. John to fly out into shallow center. St. John has to be the only player on both teams today who has multiple base hits, because both offenses are really struggling, which is a surprise considering it's Yankee Stadium. The standout rookie, Cosmo Cruz, will enter here in the bottom of the 8th for his 23rd appearance of the year, and he has pitched really, really well in the big leagues this season. He definitely looks like he belongs, and he would have another strong outing here. 1-2-3 goes down the Yankee lineup as he retires the side, finished off with a Jerome Driscoll fly out to left field. So into the 9th inning, Lenny Ling leads things off. He lines this one nicely into right field. Back at the track, at the wall, it's gone! Solo home run for Lenny Ling, number 38 on the season. And the Orioles are on the board for the first time since the top of the 1st inning. In a game where Baltimore struggles to hit, it's of course their 2 best hitters who get the job done. Adley Rutschman goes down looking. Tyler Rogers clearly not phased, as Rogers now faces off against Jalen Miller. He also strikes out. So outside of Lenny Ling, pretty much everybody is getting thrown off here by the sidearm. And now Marco Luciano checks in as a pinch hitter. Weekly flies out to second, DJ LeMahieu under it. So two, all things considered, not terrible innings from Tyler Rogers, but he does allow what could be the go-ahead home run from Lenny Lane. As we check into the bottom of the ninth inning, Edwin Diaz is on for save number 23 of the year. Diaz has not pitched as well as he has the past couple of years, but was still named an all-star and still is Baltimore's most reliable reliever, arguably, as he strikes out DJ Stewart. Now the Yankees are down to their final batter. It's going to be Ian Ordonez on the 3-1 pitch. Swings at what would have been ball 4. It's a fly out to weak left, and St. John runs over to make the play. And the Orioles win it. Final score 3-2. A nice victory here for the Orioles on the road. First game after the trade deadline. And I know it's only one game, but Chris Bubic looks like the real deal. And in a game where the offense really struggled, Bubic was our best player. He was remarkable. 6 awesome innings. The bullpen made it a little bit too close for comfort, or I guess just Jonathan Hernandez. Cruz and Diaz did their jobs. But the Yankees could not hit. And to be fair, we couldn't really hit either. It was really an offensive struggle through and through. So before we do some simulating, I do want to point out that we can start to offer players contract extensions, and we have a lot of guys who are going to be free agents within the next couple of years. So we have to be wise about how we manage our money. We don't have many bad contracts on the roster as of now, but we still have to be smart with who we pay. And I think Adley Rutschman here has earned a contract extension. He is having a career year, and although he's not a free agent for a couple of seasons, I would rather just lock him up now so we don't have to worry about this down the line. Rutschman has continued to get better and better. He's made the All-Star game 4 years in a row, and I'm willing to give him a long-term extension to keep him here in Baltimore for the next 6 years. We're going to offer him $119 million in that span. Not quite his asking price, but maybe he'll be gracious. Maybe he will accept it. So we would offer him the contract, and he says he is just flat out not interested in being locked into a long-term deal. So it looks like in a couple years we will have some Adley Rutschman contract drama, as he does not want to re-sign at the moment. We're going to simulate our next 10 games, all at home. 3 against Minnesota, 4 against Detroit, and 3 against the Yankees. And that's a pretty tough stretch. Before that, though, the Reds offer us a final last-second deal, and they want to give us a 30-year-old reliever for one of our better pitching prospects in Mario Acevedo, so that's an easy no. We would go 5-5 in this 10-game home stretch, starting off with losing the first 4, and then we would win our final 5 of 6, including sweeping the Yankees, so that's cool. We do widen our gap on the Yankees and Blue Jays, who have lost 7 in a row. So that will conclude today's episode. I think we're going to get through really the rest of August in the next one, and I definitely want to get a little bit faster here the final couple of months of the year, because it definitely does look like we will be in the playoffs, and I want to get to this postseason, man. I'm definitely excited. And I definitely feel like this team is a chip on our shoulder after really getting eliminated far too soon last year. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know what you thought of our trade deadline moves in the comments below. Peace out.